Let me start with a question. Have you ever walked through Times Square in New York City or Piccadilly Circus in London, looked around at trash on the ground, and wondered why cities can't stay clean? Now imagine a city with over 13 million people, bustling trains, packed streets, endless crowds, yet you rarely see litter, graffiti, or mess anywhere. That city is Tokyo! And yes, it really feels cleaner than almost any other megacity in the world. Today, I want to explain why Tokyo and Japan, more broadly, are so clean. From history and culture to habits, traditions, and systems that support this remarkable cleanliness. First, let's be clear. Tokyo's cleanliness isn't accidental. It's not just good luck or weather. It's not only government cleaners sweeping up at night. It's the result of deeply ingrained cultural values, social expectations, civic responsibility, and daily habits that have developed over centuries. You could even say cleanliness in Tokyo is a cultural language everyone understands and participates in. To start, think about the role of education and early socialization. In Japan, children learn cleaning from a very young age. In schools across the country, students don't just sit in classrooms, they clean them. After lunch or at the end of the day, it is typical school practice for students to sweep, wipe, and maintain their own classrooms, hallways, and even bathrooms. This isn't seen as punishment. It's an essential part of growing up, learning responsibility, and taking care of shared spaces. As a result, young people grow up with the idea that cleanliness is everyone's job, not just the job of someone else. This idea carries into adulthood. In contrast with many Western cities where individuals assume someone else, a sanitation worker, city crew, government agency will clean up. In Tokyo, people adopt a personal sense of responsibility for their trash. It's common to see individuals carry their own trash with them until they find a bin or take it home to dispose of later, especially because Tokyo doesn't have trash cans on every corner, like many other big cities do. In fact, public trash cans are few, precisely because residents don't litter, not because there's no trash. That sounds almost hard to believe. For many visitors, a city with hardly any trash bins. Yet, streets remain pristine. One key reason is that people do not eat while walking or drop wrappers in public, a behavior considered rude or disrespectful. Instead, when someone buys food from a convenience store or a street vendor, they typically take it home to a park bench or back to a place where they can finish eating and dispose of waste properly. So far, we've talked about habit and social expectations, but there's also a deeper cultural philosophy at work. Japanese cultural values, influenced historically by Buddhism, Shinto, and a group-oriented societal structure, emphasize purity, harmony, and respect for nature and others. In Shinto, one of Japan's traditional religions, purity and cleanliness hold spiritual significance. Cleansing rituals are central in Shinto practice, with the idea that keeping one's environment clean contributes to harmony and order at both personal and social levels. This philosophical background seeps into everyday life and helps explain why cleanliness is not just practical, but moral in Japanese culture. There is also a community dimension. In many Tokyo neighborhoods, local residents organize voluntary cleanup events. On weekends or during festivals, neighbors come together to pick up trash, sweep sidewalks, and maintain public spaces. These community cleanups aren't mandated by law, but they reflect a shared responsibility, a belief that we all benefit when our environment is clean. So we all take part in keeping it that way. Now, let's talk about modern urban systems and infrastructure. Tokyo invests heavily in efficient waste management. Garbage collection is comprehensive, with strict rules about sorting and recycling. Households separate their waste into burnable, recyclable, plastics, metals, and so on. This may seem tedious compared with simpler systems in some countries, but it means the overall volume of general waste is reduced and more materials are reused, leading to less litter ending up in streets and waterways. Another factor that surprises many visitors: Tokyo's public trains and subways are immaculately clean. You might assume that the trains remain clean because staff scrub them constantly. But the truth is that cleaning begins before the trains run in the morning and happens quickly between shifts. Train crews have just minutes to clean entire cars between arrivals and departures. A remarkable display of coordination and discipline, and passengers are expected to treat the space respectfully while riding. This combination of efficient systems and passenger cooperation keeps even the busiest stations nearly spotless. We also need to address the role of government policy and social norms about penalties. Littering in public places can carry fines in Japan, and signage about proper disposal is common. But Tokyo's approach isn't primarily punitive. Interestingly, the cleanliness of Tokyo also influences people beyond Japan. You may have seen videos or photos of Japanese visitors cleaning up after themselves, or even picking up trash voluntarily in other countries, simply because that is what they are accustomed to doing at home. These moments often go viral, and they reflect how deeply the idea of cleanliness is embedded in people's behavior. Finally, we should acknowledge that Tokyo's cleanliness isn't perfect everywhere. If you travel off the main thoroughfares or into private residential zones, far from the city center, you may occasionally see litter, just like anywhere else. But compared with most global megacities, Tokyo's streets, parks, stations, and public spaces stand out for their level of order and cleanliness. And that is no accident. It's the product of centuries of cultural values, education, civic participation, and well-designed systems. So, when people ask why Tokyo is so clean, the answer is multi-layered. It's about education and habit, about cultural values and personal responsibility, about community norms and social expectations, and about systems that support good behavior rather than just punish bad behavior. No single factor explains it, but together they create something that surprises almost every visitor. A megacity that feels clean by choice, not by force. Thank you for listening and for taking the time to understand one of the most fascinating cultural phenomena of modern urban life.